I'm going to shave my head. I've wanted to do it since being in my 20s, and this year, in September, I will be 40. I've dabbled with the idea every 5 years or so, and I've let fear stop me from doing it every time. And so here we are, right on cue. Another 5 years has gone by. I knew I was going to get emotional recording this, but I didn't realise it was going to hit me already. The reason I'm emotional is because me shaving my head is my future self, who is a much better version of me. This is how she is stepping in to show me not to be afraid anymore. It's not the fear of not having any hair. It's the fear of revealing a part of myself that I've not been willing or robust enough to look at for my whole life. I feel like I should start from the beginning. I've always had long hair. I obviously was born with short hair, but it grew and I've never had a short haircut. I think the shortest it's ever been has been shoulder length. I don't know what it is to have short hair, which is one of the reasons why I've always wanted to do it. I've always wanted to know what it's like to run my hands over my bald head and to sleep unencumbered by long hair and just to feel lighter. I've also been very curious to see what the shape of my head is, because I don't know. It's always been under all of this hair. I've always wanted to let that rebelliousness within me just run wild, just be in everyone's faces, that this is me and I don't care what you think. And a woman with a shaved head really symbolizes that for me. It is taboo for a woman to have a shaved head because it goes against what we're taught. It goes against these social norms that to be feminine, you must have long hair and long, beautifully manicured fingernails, and you need to be a certain shape, and you need to be shorter than a man, and you need to have longer hair than him, and you need to wear makeup. I'm sure there's lots of people watching this that are disagreeing with me, but we cannot deny that these are the social norms. This is the social agenda that has always been pushed upon women. Women are to behave in a feminine way. This is why women have fought so hard for equality, for rights. And it's not about long hair, short hair, no hair. And I'm not a feminist by any means, but I do have this rising anger in me for the way that I have been oppressed. And I have oppressed myself by not shaving my head all these years, 20 years of telling myself, but if I shave my hair off, I'm not a woman anymore. I won't be feminine. Men will look at me differently. Men won't want to date me. The men who I, was dating at the time, they won't want me anymore because I don't have my femininity anymore. And I know how ridiculous that is, but I was never ready to challenge myself in that way. I was scared. I am scared. There's someone who keeps coming into mind when I think about shaving my head, and that's Britney Spears. Through all of my thought, meditation, deliberation, I've come to a realization that men view women, not all men, but the general consensus amongst men, when a woman shaves her head, is that she's had some sort of breakdown, mentally, emotionally. Through me considering shaving my head, that's one of the questions I asked myself. Am I having some sort of crisis? Am I having a breakdown? Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing it for the right reasons? And I thought about Britney. I mean, I don't know her. I don't really know that much about her. I mean, who does, right? We only see what they want us to see about her life, and any celebrity is the same. But the media really pushed this story, and I believe it was a story that she had this huge meltdown and she just shaved her head because she was not in her right mind, because she was crazy, because she was broken. I never really had an opinion on it all these years. And I think recently, through my own consideration, I think I've come to the conclusion that actually she was just trying to take something back for herself. It was potentially a protest against her oppression, against the life that she was in at the time. I might just be projecting, but I feel that for me personally, me shaving my head is not a protest against my life as it is now, but rather a protest against the life that I had. It's the final purge of a life that did not serve me, a version of myself that did not serve me. And it is a rebellious, fiery conquering of my past. I've just been feeling so weighed down. I've had my dreadlocks now for 5 years, and I love them. I've always loved them. It's been such a spiritual journey having dreadlocks, learning how to live with them, because taking care of them is vastly different to taking care of, quote, normal hair. You have to nurture them, and I made a video about dreads. I referred to my dreadlocks and my head as being a garden that I feel I am tending, and it is growing, and I am nurturing it into growth. And I didn't mean growth in length ways. I mean to have them neat. It's not particularly neat. I haven't maintained them in some time. But to have them in these beautiful cylindrical shapes, you have to really take care of them well, and you have to nurture them in the same way that you nurture a garden. You have to weed it, and you have to tend to it and water it, and sometimes you have to pin plants to stakes to make sure they grow a certain way. And it's a very similar endeavor with dreadlocks, and I love that about my dreads. I love that, and I feel really honored and powerful to have bestowed that gift upon myself. It was a really big step for me at the time to choose to have my hair dreadlocked because of the stigma that's attached to it. We all know what that is. And I've always felt very set apart from that stereotype. I've never been to a rave. I wash my hair frequently. I always make sure that I smell good. I have a very well-paid, employed job, and I live in a beautiful house, and I don't smoke or do drugs or drink. I'm a very proactive person. And I'm sure that so many people who have dreadlocks are also functioning outside of the stereotype, like myself. But unfortunately, there is a stereotype. And at the time of me having my dreadlocks, I was broken. I was a broken woman. I had just lost everything in my life. My family, my livelihood, my career, my home, my partner, the love of my life. I lost everything. And I sought safety. I didn't realize I was doing it at the time, but now that I look back on it, I got dreadlocks. I was locking in all that I'd lost. And having my dreads became this deeply spiritual. At first it was just this, I'm just going to change my hair. Do you know what? Fuck it. I've just lost everything in my life. I've always wanted dreadlocks. I'm just going to do it. It was this protest. It was me taking back my power. So I did it. I just did it. It was quite impulsive, really, thinking about it. And I'm a very spontaneous person, but I'm not an impulsive person. I do think very carefully about things long before I do them, which I love that trait in me, because it means I really deliberate the same way that I have done over shaving my head. So when it comes to the decision, I know that I will not go back on it. I will not regret it. I will not change my mind, because I've spent so long thinking about it, and I really have thought of absolutely everything. But I didn't do that with dreads, I just did it, and that's because I was broken. However, it turns out it was actually a brilliant decision, and I'm so glad I did it, and I'm so glad I gifted myself the experience of having dreadlocks, because they've become this symbol to me of my femininity and my power and all the things that I lost. And the whole time I've had my dreads, I've been healing and rebuilding. Those of you who have been following me, my channel, my social media for, the last 7 to 10 years, then you know the journey. You've seen it. I've talked about it. I've shared it with you. You've seen how I've progressed. You've despaired with me. You've comforted me, to which I'm grateful. And you've grown with me, and you've celebrated with me. And I feel that this is the next step. January last year, January 2023, I started a whole new life. I moved into this beautiful space. I moved to a different town. I've settled here now, and it's not about being in this new space, and it's certainly helped a lot, but I'm in a different space now, in mind and in heart and in soul, and I am forever changed for my healing process. I feel I was this squashed little helpless caterpillar, and I spent the last 5 years just cocooned in safety in my dreadlocks. Now it's time to metamorphosize, and did I just make myself sound like a Power Ranger? Triceratops! It's time for me to emerge this beautiful moth, and I say moth because divine feminine. I feel that the dreadlocks have done their work, and I've done my work with them, and I've grown from it. They no longer serve me. The person I was when I had the dreadlocks, I am no longer. And I feel that it's time for me to step into a new realm of bravery and femininity and power that I've been avoiding and I've not felt ready for a very, very long time. And I am terrified because of the stigma, because of the attention that I am bound to get. I'm in the dating scene, I'm single, and I'm scared that I won't be seen as this feminine creature, which I know I am, and I feel that I've used my hair as a crutch to display my femininity on the surface, so it's there at first glance, and it won't be there. It will be up to me to display my femininity through other means, through the way I carry myself, through my grace, through how I choose to adorn my body in clothing and jewelry and whatever else, through my body language, through my behavior. And that's scary. I mean, even though I know that I am all of those things, I am graceful and I am feminine and I am beautiful, and just not having my hair to rely on to portray that for me is scary. And I'm scared that at first glance I will look like I've lost my marbles, and so I just shaved my head one day just because I went crazy, or that I'm having some sort of a crisis. And the irony there is that I did have a crisis, but that was 5 years ago. And I am so vastly healed from it that I am an infinitely better version of myself than I ever have been. And that's why I'm shaving my head, because I'm stepping back into my power, because I'm taking back what I've lost, and I'm gifting myself discomfort so that my confidence can grow, so that my femininity can grow and thrive. And as I said right at the very beginning, the future version of me, who is an infinitely better version of who I am now, she is gifting this to me. I am being a good parent to myself, and I know that this will benefit me. It will aid my growth. I know this is the best thing for me. I feel relieved that I've made this decision for myself, but I'm also terrified, hence the tears. I'm excited to play. I've always wanted to wear amazing, beautiful wigs and change my hair every day. And I have always had just outlandish hair. I've been through every colour in the spectrum. I've had victory rolls, and having dreadlocks, this is the first time I've actually had just brown hair. This is the first time I've not had coloured hair, like brightly coloured hair. You know, it trashes your hair. The bleach, the dye, constantly, absolutely ruins your hair. And so I've had amazing, ruined, broken, incredible hair for like 20 years. It takes a lot of effort. As they say, beauty is pain, right? I'm allergic to bleach. So that was just, you know, absolute torture. Hair dyeing days, salon days were absolute torture. But I always felt that it was so worth it. But there was always a very large part of me that was just, why don't I just shave my head and then I can just wear wigs and then, you know, I can have whatever, I can change my hair every day if I wanted to. And now that I've made the decision to shave my head, that's something I'm really excited for, is to play, to wear wigs. And some days I won't, and some days I will. And I can choose what I want my hair to look like that day, depending on how I'm feeling. That's going to be fun. My head's going to become this playground. And I'm really excited for that. I'm excited to become more confident. I'm excited to push myself into this level of discomfort. This is not the scariest thing I've ever done, but it is up there. And I say it's not the scariest thing I've ever done because the things that I went through when my dad passed away were the scariest things that I've ever been faced with, ever. When I lost my life, that was the scariest thing. I hold on to that because when I'm faced with something that I feel fear for, I remind myself, yeah, but you went through that. You went through that, Alice. You went through that, you survived, and you emerged better because of how you had to cope and survive. And therefore, what you're feeling fear over now is not the scariest thing. If you can handle that, you can handle this. And so this is not the scariest thing I've ever been faced with. And it is less scary because I'm gifting it to myself rather than it being thrust upon me. I'm ready to be a better version of myself. I'm ready to step into my power and my confidence and my femininity. I wanted to share this with you because I feel that it's important for me to record my progress. Call this a journal entry, if you will. But I also feel that it's important to share vulnerability with each other as human beings, as women. Not that I'm excluding men at all in this, and perhaps you men will come to a greater understanding of women through watching this video. Perhaps shaving a head for a man means something completely different or is meaningless, but to a woman it is incredibly meaningful. The stigma is very real and very raw and unforgiving. And the amount of courage that it takes for any woman to shave her head is just unfathomable. My dad always used to say, feel the fear and do it anyway. Those are words that I'm holding very dear to my heart right now. I am feeling the fear and I am doing it anyway. So thank you for being here with me through this poignant milestone in my journey and for sharing this experience with me. I'm grateful to all of you, and I'm grateful to my future self. I'm grateful to me for mustering the courage to finally do something that I've always wanted to do and have been too afraid to.